Love Your Block is here in the city of Gary, Indiana.
The City of Gary's Love Your Block program is funded by grants to help improve neighborhoods.
Love Your Block is so important to Mayor Eddie D. Melton and city leadership. Why? Because it empowers residents to play an active role in shaping the future of their neighborhood.
Join us in our community conversations where you are invited to share your ideas on what you want to see in your neighborhood.
In year one, our 3 key neighborhoods are Midtown, Black Oak, and Glen Park, the University Park area.
Our aim is simple: to improve the quality of life for all of our residents for years to come. Not only that, but to create a sense of pride and attachment to where you live.
Be on the lookout for more information on how to get involved.
By establishing partnerships with local organizations, residents, businesses, churches, non-for-profits, we'll truly create a neighborhood where even you will love your block.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Mayor Eddie Melton of the great city of Gary, Indiana, and I'm sending a special invitation out to each and every one of you to join me on March 6th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at St. Timothy's Church in Gary, Indiana at 1600 West 25th Avenue. This is going to be a night where we're going to inform the public on our proposal between the city of Gary and the Hard Rock Casino for the Lake County Convention Center that's going to happen right here in this city. As state senator, I fought very hard to get Senate Bill 434 passed. And this Senate bill that passed almost 2 years ago will give us the opportunity to have this great economic engine right here in the city of Gary. This will yield multiple jobs, increase our tax base and opportunities to bring economic vitality in the city of Gary. Join us on March 6th. From 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at St. Timothy's Church right here in the city of Gary. And I want to thank Pastor Jackson and the entire congregation of St. Timothy's Church for allowing us to be with you on that night. God bless.
Recycling at home is easy and helps keep our city clean and sustainable. But what can you actually recycle? Let's break it down. Paper and fiber. Yes, you can recycle. Newspapers, office paper, magazines, books, file folders, junk mail, glossy paper, and envelopes. Just toss them in. But remember, no shredded paper as it can't be sorted properly. Flatten those cardboard boxes and cereal boxes before recycling. But no greasy pizza boxes, those go in the trash. Aluminum cans, tin cans, and even pie tins can be recycled, but make sure they're clean. Give them a quick rinse to remove food residue before recycling. No aerosol cans, as they're considered hazardous. Glass bottles and jars. Yes, glass containers for food and drinks are recyclable, but wash them out first. Keep the lids on after rinsing, but no mirrors, window glass, or ceramics, as they don't break down the same way. Plastics. It depends. Plastic bottles, jugs, and containers? Yes. But plastic bags, takeout containers, and prescription bottles? Nope. Instead, take plastic bags to a grocery store drop-off, or better yet, bring your own reusable bags when you shop. We only accept plastic bottles and containers numbered 1 to 5 and 7. Check the recycling symbol before dropping them off. Milk cartons, juice boxes, and broth cartons are recyclable, but remember to remove the straws first and rinse them out before recycling. Important recycling reminders. Avoid contamination. All recycling materials must be properly cleaned. Even a small amount of food or drink residue can spoil an entire load. Keep the caps. Bottle caps can be left on glass and plastic containers. No grocery bags. Do not put recyclables in plastic grocery bags. They can't be processed properly. Beyond recycling, reduce and reuse. Recycling is great, but reducing and reusing make an even bigger impact. Choose eco-friendly products, carry a reusable water bottle, and swap plastic utensils for sustainable alternatives. Small changes lead to a cleaner, greener Gary. Your city, your future. Let's keep it clean.
the City of Gary has a 311 app? You can report any non-emergency request right from your smartphone. Need help dealing with unfair landlords? Use the app.
Girl, I just don't understand. I'm paying rent, and my landlord isn't fixing any of the issues in this apartment. What should I do?
You know you can report it on the Gary 311 app. Do you have it?
What's that?
Let me show you. Just go to your app store.
Or maybe you need to request the birth certificate.
Kim, I can't find my birth certificate.
Oh, it probably just got misplaced during the move. Actually, we can request a new one through the Gary 311 app.
Okay. New technology. I'm in.
Let me show you.
And guess what? You can even report illegal dumping.
Look at him! Just dumping his garbage on private property.
Well, caught him in 4K. You know we can report him on the Gary 311 app and to GPD's Taste Tip?
That's good.
Never feel frustrated again about an issue. Use the Gary 311 app to report all your non-emergency needs. It's a free application that allows users to report community issues, pinpoint the location with GPS, attach photos, and more. All right from your smartphone. Download the Gary 311 app today. Available on iOS and Android.
What's up, folks? This is Mayor Melton. We are in the streets. It's about 11:30. Wanted to show you phase one of what's taking place for our streetlight program. We like the city. So we've already started on Grant Street. Drive down Grant Street, you're going to see brand new LED lights that have been turned on all the way from Ridge Road all the way down to Fifth Avenue. Right now, part of phase one is also Broadway. We've been waiting on the new poles to come in. So some of the new poles are on its way. We have a lot of missing poles that people from car accidents have hit. But right now, the ones that are existing, we're changing the heads out. And what you're going to see is our contractor that's been working with us for the last close to a year. You're going to see them out today.
Gary Redevelopment Commission is now called to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Clemens? Here. Commissioner Dunham? Present. Commissioner Washington. Commissioner Rogie.
Here.
Commissioner Representative Johnson. Let the record show that Commissioner Washington and Representative Johnson are absent at this time,
And I'm here too.
and President Stalling.
Thank you. We'll move on to, go ahead,
sorry.
Attorney Jenkins.
Yes, so I just wanted to, we're requesting that we add one more item to the agenda, which is Resolution 7547, which is a resolution that grants access to property for inspection and abatement. We want to add that as Resolution 7547, and we want that to replace an item later on the agenda under approval, right of entry. So we just want to get a motion to accept the agenda with that amendment.
What are we changing? You said, I know the one that we're adding was replacing what number?
It's replacing a non-numbered item on the third page, which is approval, right of entry. So that's where we're going to introduce Resolution 7547. So if I can get a motion to approve the agenda with that amendment.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the commission?
And I second.
It's been moving properly second. Are there any questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Clemens. Commissioner Dunham. Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
And President Stalling.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, we'll now move on to direct and commissioner comments. Director Chris Harris.
All right, good evening, commissioners. Good evening, members of the public. Wanted to provide an update regarding our demolition process. Some of the line items that you see on the scope here before you in your agenda are helping us achieve our blight remediation goals in the downtown core. So we're very excited to see this process take place. We have had a positive relationship with the Regional Development Authority and their demolition contractor Aegis to help do due diligence, retirements of utilities as they prepare for blight elimination in the downtown core to execute Mayor's Senate Bill 434 scope. So we're very excited to be at this time in having this business before the commission and before the public. And if there's any feedback, we'd love to hear. So thank you.
Commissioner comments. We'll start with Clemens.
No comment.
It's Dunham. Mr. Rogie.
Just want to get the meeting going.
Okay. All righty. Chair will move accepting for the acceptance of and approval of the minutes for January 22, 2025. A motion for acceptance.
So moved.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens. Yes. Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move on to item number 5, the approval of the claims. The chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of the approval of the claims submitted.
So these are the February claims, right?
That's correct. And there's also a claim sheet on page 4.
Is there more than the ones that were on the,
Yeah, the February claims are included here on the fourth
yeah,
page.
it's the same that was on the internet?
These are the February claims that we have here in the agenda package.
Are these only for?
Yeah, correct.
These 3 are only for February?
Correct.
All right. Totaling $48,715.03.
Correct.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion for approval.
page.
Where is it?
Like the third or fourth page.
Yeah, the fourth page. Yeah.
All right. Right past it.
So right
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
count 3 or 4.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, this is it here. Well, I gotta make a motion. I'll make a motion to. Oh, I just turned.
It's been moving properly. Second, are there questions or comment, commissioners?
Yeah.
Mr. Clemens?
So the January claims that totaled $1,122,000, have those claims been satisfied?
Not yet, because we need to approve the overall budget. The reason why these claims haven't been satisfied is that there are some claims that are associated with the TIFs. We need to approve the budget for our TIFs in effort to be able to draw down and satisfy those January claims.
So have any of them been satisfied?
Several of our bond payments have been satisfied for the need to not default on our bonds.
Do we have a copy of the ones that have been satisfied?
I can provide you a copy that's been satisfied to date, but the intent is that we need to approve the budget in this commission meeting in an effort to satisfy our claims that we approved in January.
So, Mr. Harris, these are the, that's a conversation we had at the Finance Committee about the budget needing to be approved before we can move forward with most things. All right.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Rogie.
Yes, I do. Well, I see on here on February that we have Republic Services, $109,064, and then what I had seen on the internet is resolution number 7540 for Republic Waste and Waste / Allied, and for $149,900. Tell me more about that.
Sure. So we still have to catch up with Republic on our claims from 2024. So what we approved in January were a set of invoices from 2024. And it's our intent to be able to catch up with Republic Services for what you see here in the February claim sheet.
Yes, but wait a minute. This is here to approve paying $109,000, and then we have today you're asking us to look at and approve $149,000. So that's 200 and some thousand altogether. Would that be correct?
That would be correct. So the invoices that we had a constraint last year with being able to catch up with our financial process and be able to process claims efficiently. So for what we've received in January, that's what the commission had approved. And then the updated, not updated, but an additional invoice we received from a Republic includes the $109,064.07 that you see that's coming from non-reverting.
Yeah, I guess I forgot that the January went way back.
Correct.
Much further than January.
Correct, exactly.
Okay. All right, I get it.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call.
Commissioner Clemens?
No, I don't know what this is. I got one more question. Who is American Structure Point?
So for everyone's edification, several years ago, and I want to make sure that it's clear too, that these agendas, were sent out ahead, but for the public's edification, American Structure Point is responsible for the Martin Luther King 15th and MLK, the 15th and MLK project that we received a grant award for in, I want to say 2021, 2022. American Structure Point is responsible for conducting the civil engineering work necessary for the federal grant we received in an effort to reconstruct 15th Avenue from I-65 to Martin Luther King Drive. This scope, the civil engineering scope, was necessary in an effort for us to be able to execute that work between now and I believe the calendar year end of 2026. So American Structure Point was awarded before by the commission to do this work, and they have claims associated with executing this project.
So the work is done?
The work is ongoing.
Is
The work is
ongoing.
ongoing. The civil engineering work necessary to create the scope for the contractors to execute the scope is ongoing. So the design and engineering work that American Structure Point has conducted at this point is what's necessary for the contractors to bid the scope in effort to execute the work that we see on a day-to-day basis.
Have you received an update on the work? And this was approved by the commission when originally?
I can confirm with you the exact resolution number, but I believe roughly 2021 or 2022.
When we're in 2025, have we received any reports?
The project did hit a stall in the previous administration that we're in the incoming administration have picked up the pace. The EDA is actively looking for us to be able to execute this grant that we received on a federal level. I can give the commission exact dates to share with the public, a project milestone timeline. But I don't want to share anything out in the public that I don't have exactly accurate, but I do know it's the intent that this project will take off in 2025 through calendar year 2026 for completion. But I can provide a more detailed timeline for the public's sake.
Yeah, but can you one more time just repeat what this project is?
Yeah. So
before you repeat it, I'm sorry to be
Let the
late.
record
Which
reflect that
resolution
Mr.
are we
Washington
on?
is in the meeting.
This is approval of claims, so we're approving the February claims. That's item number
5.
5.
We're talking about American Structure Point. A claim of $458,000.
So the 15th and MLK project, what the intent is that we want to have 15th and MLK serve more as an industrial park. It's zone industrial. There are entities like NIPSCO in the vicinity of Indiana American Water. There are other privately held sites and structures we want to maximize in developing a industrial corridor. And what the intent is, we're going to widen 15th Avenue. We're going to increase additional lighting, new street lighting with new street poles that is more amenable to create a fresh look between I-65 and Martin Luther King Drive. As many of you know, if you've traveled near the interchange and you're traveling west on 15th Avenue after you drive underneath the viaduct, it's very rough, right? So the street infrastructure necessary to be able to widen that street, make it more amenable for truck traffic, and creating additional lighting infrastructure and making it more attractive to invest in creating a business there in an industrial nature is what the intent was for this project. So it's going to be a big improvement in aesthetically as you exit I-65 onto 15th Avenue to be able to see a big difference in what that corridor looks like.
Mr. Harris, in that, will they do any type of work to the overpass? Because I know once you get off I-65 and start heading west, even if you go back east, it's bumpity and potholes. So will they just stop, when they get to I-65, or will they go over the overpass?
The mayor is specifically asked, after we've gotten into our administration understanding the scope, if we can extend our grant to include the scope underneath the underpass to be able to address the situation. So I know that our city engineer is working with that team specifically to be able to see if we can cover that need underneath the viaduct at I-65 and 15th Avenue.
I'm not sure if you heard me. Mark, please let the minutes reflect Mr. Washington is present. All right, any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie,
Yes.
Commissioner Washington,
Yes.
and President Stalling.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move on to item number 6, which is public comment on agenda items only. Do we have anyone that signed up to speak or would like to speak? All right, Mr. Tony, will you please stand up, step to that, speak up to that mic? All right.
So, how's that, Commissioner? How's everybody?
Everybody's great today.
If you want to press the mic.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Okay, thanks. On the first description, resolution number 7531, is that the resolution that was last discussed about the Redevelopment Commission taking on additional consulting contract? And if I remember correct, that consulting contract was also for the zoning department. Is that what we're talking about here? That's what I want to make my comments. I want to make sure that that's what it is. Okay, so that being said, my previous experience in seeing how this administration wants to really thrive and make some things happen, the money that's allocated for the consumption of 2 of these contracts, I think it would be advantageous for the city to hire out and seek out a professional, because you can afford to pay the money, but somebody who really knows and can take the Redevelopment Commission to the next level of being competitive in the market of redoing the city. Number 2, the consulting contract that is for Powers and Sons, I don't know what it's for. As it says, a consulting contract, that's number 1. And then also the additional $23,000 for, I guess, some change orders. Is that related to the previous construction work that was supposed to have happened at the rail catch? And if that's the fact, what it was, that $1 million that was spent, did it ever get spent or did it ever get redone? That was never told to the public. Thank you.
Anyone else? We move on to item number 7 on the agenda, which is presentations, Broadway Community Development Corporation. Are they present?
We actually have Project Bridge that's present. So yeah, that was a typo.
Is it the same?
Different company. Yep.
Explain to me and to the public, who is this company?
Sure. So Project Bridge is, and I see Vincent. Is Vincent? Oh, there we go. All right. So Vincent is here representing Project Bridge, and this is a supportive housing project that this entity is looking to work with the Redevelopment Commission and looking in securing a site. They have tax credit funding from ICTA, from the Indiana Housing Community. Goodness, I'm on the spot with this alphabet soup. But ICTA is responsible for supporting supportive housing tax credits in effort to encourage development to happen in spaces in AMI incomes that need to be supported. This opportunity to work with the Redevelopment Commission in locating and securing a site is time sensitive. And this project team wanted to provide a general overview of how they could offer 16 housing units here in the city of Gary that's awarded, again, state funding, awarded tax credit funding. And I don't want to steal too much of Mr. Smith's thunder about the project team that's associated with this effort, and just wanted to give them at least 10 minutes to be able to share their intent here in the city of Gary with the public.
They can come forward now.
Mr. Chairman, I got a
Yes.
question.
Sure.
When you say time sensitive, what do you expound on that?
Yeah, and I'm sure Mr. Smith can share too. So this project was awarded tax credits in 2024, early 2024. Initially, this project was looking to develop in Maryville, but then after meeting our project team, they wanted to be a part of the momentum that we have in the city of Gary, and they halted their site search in Maryville and pivoted to looking for an opportunity in the city of Gary. This was in November, December of 2024. The tax credits technically expire in second quarter of 2025. They've already asked for an extension from ICTA as they secure a site or look for a site in the city of Gary that's amenable to the commission, amenable to their needs. And there's been a change in administration, and I think that's kind of slowed down some scrutiny. But the second quarter of 2025, it's possible that if we don't find a site location for this project team, they'll lose their tax credit funding and they won't be able to develop this site. And ICTA will apply that to another project somewhere across the state that is readily available that has a site secured. So, Mr. Smith.
And good evening, Commissioners. I'm Vincent Smith with Building and Impacting Communities. We are located in Indianapolis. Just a quick point of clarification. So this is not a tax credit project. In 2023, the state of Indiana allocated funds for housing for individuals aging out of foster care. So these are individuals 18 to 24 who are aging out of the foster care system and often end up homeless once they exit the foster care system. In Lake County right now, as of last year, there are about 111 individuals in that category that were aging out of foster care. So this development is in cooperation with Epiphany and Company Counseling Services, as well as Healing Homes and Communities, and I have Ms. Francesca Cooley with me this evening. Both of those organizations are located in Maryville on Lincoln Highway. And again, as we were talking originally, we were looking at locating in Maryville, had a couple meetings with Chris and the team, and was like, we definitely want to be a part of what's going on in Gary. So we kind of paused that and took a look here. Just to give you a little background on the bridge, again, 16 apartments for individuals aging out of foster care. The first floor of this building will be employment workforce development. A couple of Ms. Cooley's businesses will be there on site and actually offer training to residents. We'll also be working with other companies in the area to offer resident training that includes home health care, soft skills training. Francesca might have to help me out on some of the other services that will be provided.
So they'll have the opportunity to become registered behavioral therapists.
Ma'am, we need you to come up to the front of the top of the mic so the public could be able to hear your comments.
Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Francesca Cooley. I'm the owner of Epiphany and Company Counseling Services. And to piggyback on what Vincent was saying, we will offer the training for the individuals to be trained to become home health care providers. Also, a RBT, which is a registered behavioral therapist. So we will provide those trainings so they can be employed.
So the idea is to not only offer housing, but also workforce training so that the individuals can be more self-sufficient and actually train them in the way, help them become more self-sufficient as they transition out of foster care and into a independent living situation. As Chris was saying, the funding that we were awarded $2.5 million from the state of Indiana. Part of that was an allocation from the General Assembly, and then the other part of that was funding from IHCDA. Additionally, the developers are also putting in another $200,000 in total, and then about $400,000 in debt that will be on the project. So we're looking at about a $3.1 million development. And looking to work with you all on finding a site to bring that here.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
Have you been involved in a project like this before?
Yes, sir. So Building and Impacting Communities was founded in 2015. As a total right now, we have 7 developments that are ours or we partner with in development. Currently have 3 under construction, one of those in Anderson, Indiana, one in Indianapolis, and we're in development with one in Louisville, Kentucky.
And just one more question for myself, and then the rest of the commissioners can chime in. What was the reasoning why you all didn't do Maryville?
Had a conversation with Chris and just kind of the things that were going on in Gary, wanted to be a part of that.
Okay, how far along the road did you get with Maryville?
We hadn't really started. We started kind of site selection, looking. We had a realtor that we were working with, and we're looking at a couple of different sites that we were starting to look at. And again, after some conversations here, it was like, well, what if we looked at Gary instead?
Okay, but you didn't have any pushback from Maryville, so you said, well, since we can't get it done in Maryville, we're just going to Gary.
We never made it that far.
Okay, all right. Commissioners, any questions from other commissioners?
I have a question. So you're here today to ask us, have you identified any property, or you?
So we want to work with you all to find a site that works not only for the development, but also for the city and for the Redevelopment Commission. So we haven't identified anything just yet, just kind of looking at what our opportunities and options.
And so you said it's 111 of these individuals in Lake County?
Yes, ma'am.
You know how many in Gary?
I do not have the number for Gary, ma'am.
And what's the age?
18 to 24.
And you've been working, have you worked with these youth, have you worked with this segment of the population?
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
Go ahead.
So how is the system? Too many people got mics on. All right, thank you. How does the system work when you get this established and young people between 18 and 24 get there? What's set up far as supervision, far as grown people, but because of the system they come out of, how do you maintain that the facility will keep in order? So you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
two sides to that. One is property management. My property management team that we'll be working with here, we'll be looking to hire someone locally that we'll work with. We'll train on working with the population, but also the services that will be offered by Epiphany and Company as well as Healing Homes.
So will there be like a curriculum or some type of agreement that you will have with each resident that lives there that they will follow? Because you talked about a career path. So will there be requirements that they would need to follow to be able to stay in the?
Absolutely. I currently have a contract with the Indiana Department of Child Services, and we currently do something similar where we rent out different houses now, and we kind of have the same program going on. So we'll follow that same suit.
Just one more question about the age. So do they cycle out and then you get new out of the 111? Does it keep adding and you stay? Or does it at some point, if your money run out, then that property becomes, what?
No, ma'am. So let me try to break these down two separate questions, I think it was. So as far as aging out, so they do not age out. You just have to be in that age before you come in as far as the original application. So if you're there, our goal is that you become self-sufficient. You learn a trade or skills and are able to go out, get a job, make money, and actually move out into your own independent living situation. That's our goal. From the funding standpoint, this isn't a situation where we're going to throw it here and then we got 5 years funding is out, now it's going to be a market rate. We're going to do whatever we want with it. That's not the case. The idea is really to continue to move those individuals who are aging out of foster care to continue to build that system and help them become more self-sufficient.
I want to ask a question to Ms. Sharp. With your vast experience, have you heard of this type of development before? And are you familiar with this development?
Commissioner Washington, Chris has shared information about this development with our team. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting with the developer team to this point. In my work in Central Indiana, we have worked with organizations that provide transitional housing. When you leave one life's journey and you want to enter into another. I've never worked with an organization that deals with foster children, but the transitional housing projects that I have been involved with did show success, and the key is having house, mom, so to speak, that helps, the tenants transition and be held accountable.
Will your team be included in working with this development?
Yeah, if you decide to move forward with it at that certain time, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. President, I think Attorney Carla Morgan had a comment.
So
I'm familiar with this kind of setting at home. I did a little bit of volunteering because a friend of mine was a professor at Chicago State. He ran a very similar home, south side of Chicago. It was an old apartment building that they got for these purposes and fixed up. So it was kind of it was a good transition between a home setting and kind of transitioning young women in particular to adulthood. He ran that for I think 7 years. It was really successful, really good for those young ladies. He had me come speak to them about careers like twice. But I can put this commission in touch with him. He's still a college professor, but now he's at University of California, to talk about how these programs work and how it's a necessary bridge between foster care and adulthood to have people transition successfully. So I'm just volunteering that information. I'm sure he'd be glad to talk to the commission and to you all. So, thanks.
Mr. President. Comments. I think that this is a good thing for Gary, being a foster parent and adopting a sibling group of 7. I kind of know the ropes, but I would be concerned about the staffing. How would you staff it? And anytime you do a presentation, I would like to see everybody that's really involved in this program, because you have a lot of connecting the dots. Mental health, I know you talked about that. A lot of these children have been abused. And as she talked about, when the money runs out, we need to see the broader plan, because this is great for the foster care and adoption community. But we just want to know that it's solid, because this is really needed for kids that's aging out, because we do have a huge population of homelessness. After they leave out of the system, they become homeless. So this is something great for Gary, but I would like to see more of a presentation of how this will really be cemented into Gary. What are the pillars? And I'm for it, but you did a pretty decent presentation, but I would just like to see more, because when you're dealing with kids' lives that's been abused, you kind of got to have a harness on, the inner, we like to call demons, and the wraparound services that you would be providing them. But this is great for the city. I have no problem with it, so I just wanted to see more, But this is good for Gary. Thank you.
Speak to more of your services.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I started the pilot program on my own with my own money. We have 5 successful families that transitioned to Section 8 and housing from the program we started. So that's how I connected with Mr. Smith. I wanted to go bigger. So we already have success rates with it. We just needed more space, because I can only rent so many apartments myself.
So are you looking for housing or more of a...
We already have housing.
You're looking for a facility?
So what we're looking to do is actually build a new facility. So it will be a new building. Again, first floor would kind of be businesses, kind of a business and attraction space for a couple of Ms. Francesca's businesses, and then apartments above.
So pretty much looking for land?
Yes, sir.
All right, you want it from the commission?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So the program is already in existence.
Okay. That's why he didn't get in Maryville, because they was gonna hit you upside the head. Pretty much. But anyway, we for it. I like it. As I said, I have no more comments unless someone else has more.
Commissioner Washington.
And I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with collaborative care program through Indiana DCS. Well, I know Ellis Dumas is a part of this too, where he's back there hiding in the background. But when I worked in CPS in South Bend, I worked collaborative care. And the great thing about the program is that the transition, now we would hope that during the transition, employment opportunities could happen, and we don't want the children transitioning from this program into Section 8. We want to keep them away from Section 8. So the goal is to transition so they can eventually get their own home or something else like that, so they can be productive, young men and young women in society. But I think the program is excellent. I agree with Mr. Clemens also. It would be good to have another presentation on the full scope, because of course, as children come out of the collaborative care program or Child Protective Services, it would be good for them to have a place to go into if they don't have already something. Because the collaborative care program, they can get a job, manage their own money, do things like that until they get on their own. So I agree with Mr. Clemens. I think this is a great opportunity for the city. And as we build houses and get jobs, hopefully they can stay and become residents of the city and improve. And I won't say any names, but there are communities that look down on this type of program and they don't want it they don't want it as a part of their community. But we have an obligation for our young people who were grown and raised in this community to give back to them. So I commend you on what you're trying to do for our young people. Can we give them a round of applause? What they're trying to do. Thank you.
Okay. To the rest of the commissioners, we do realize this is information. They brought it to us for information. Now, we always talked in our previous meetings that when the redevelopment brings us someone with the development, that they bring them to and give you an opportunity to express what you all have expressed today and also get the feelings of the commissioners. So now we will hope that you all will work expeditiously with Chris and his staff to get done what you all need to get done so we can help you all along the way.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for coming, and we look forward to working with you and looking for your next presentation. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Now we move on the agenda to item number 8, which is old business. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7531, again, this is old business. A resolution for the Gary Redevelopment Commission approving and authorizing an award of the contract to Innovative Planning, LLC.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Yes, I want to make the motion to approve 7531 and with comment afterwards, if it gets second.
A second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Rogie?
Yes, I do. I've had the pleasure of meeting Corey Ann Sharp, and she's right over there, by the way. And if you haven't had the chance to read her qualifications, are just the level we really, really need to be in redevelopment to be a top city. I mean, she is just super great, and I am excited about making that motion to get her on board.
Any other comments? Any other comments or questions for Commissioner?
I have comments.
Okay, Mr. Clemens.
I would like for her to come up again and to give us a overview of her responsibilities, working alongside Chris before I make my decision. Just to come back and do an overview of her responsibilities and duties with the commission.
Okay, Ms. Sharp, you have about 3 minutes.
Commissioners, my name's Corey Sharp with Innovative Planning. I am a certified urban planner and a licensed landscape architect. I have spent the last decade or so working solely in the redevelopment realm in central Indiana. My role here will be similar to roles that I have served with other municipalities, which is an advisor for development in the city. My job is to work with the redevelopment team closely and advise them on projects, not only in design, but also financial pro formas, discuss development gaps, determine if that is a feasible project to continue the conversation, and help the team elevate the products that we're pushing out, and the projects hopefully will become more streamlined, because I'm also adding capacity to the team and just helping Chris work through the leadership of the Redevelopment Commission and serving as a resource for you all. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You said helping Chris. Chris, what kind of help do you need?
Sure. Capacity is definitely a need. As the commission is probably well aware, we had major restructuring in the Department of Redevelopment over the past 12 months. With that, I had a large deficit in being able to get support in pushing projects through. I call it spinning plates, spinning multiple plates. They may wobble, some may drop, but they may not break. But I prefer not to be in that position. So getting that extra support and capacity of having someone to be able to bounce off an idea with both mayor and our chief operations officer, is very busy. So being able to have an opportunity to be able to have a sounding board with projects that come before our desk, and opportunities to be able to move things through is much needed. And also being able to tag team with development opportunities. There are spaces that I can't be at all times, that being able to divide and conquer is really supportive for myself. And also looking for opportunities to restructure other roles that are underutilized in our department that are budgeted to give us even more bandwidth. Like I said, last year we didn't have a deputy from January to July of last year. That was a big hurdle for me to cross. We had a deputy from July to December. We decided to move on in a different direction in December of 2024. So being able to have that additional capacity, we've also been restructuring. If you don't know, Natay Billingsley is our new deputy director for the Department of Redevelopment. So being able to have that additional bandwidth of strong, supportive individuals in our department is helping me be able to keep those plates spinning in a positive way and getting projects across the finish line. So that's in general the support that I'm seeking to have with Ms. Sharp.
So you have another deputy?
Yes. So the deputy is Natay Billingsley. Natay Billingsley has been supporting zoning for quite some time, and then she's now shifted over to being the deputy director / financial analyst for the Department of Redevelopment. So the past claims that we see before us from the previous month in January and in February, Natay has really hopped in, all hands on deck and getting claims satisfied and getting us back on track for calendar year 2025. So that was effective as of, I want to say, 3 weeks ago. So that's been supportive. So again, having a strong deputy financial analyst, getting support when it comes to effective ways that we can address our bonds, getting that support from Corey has also been very helpful. And it's going to be able to make us more efficient. And also too, being able to have rooted ties, to our community and understanding the needs on a very intimate level is extremely important. And it can't be ignored as just a utility, right? This is something, that I bring to the table, understanding our city's history and the context, we can make better decisions and maximizing our assets and moving forward. Is also much needed and being brought to the table. So all of that combined together gives me more capacity and gives us the ability to be able to execute the mayor's vision in a more efficient manner.
So she do have another contract with zoning, correct?
That's correct.
And I would like to say that I actually talked to somebody that utilized the services of zoning, and they said that it was very professional. They got the what they needed. She was great over there, and we're hoping that if this is approved, it'll be the same way here. But the reality is, it's slow motion. So what will she bring to the table where when people come to get things done, that it's done in a timely manner? That's the problem that we seem to have. People is not getting things done in a timely manner. We could have all the qualifications in the world, but what's going to help us with time? People. And when you say people, what people will handle the time issues?
So here, with having a deputy director, needing a project manager, I've been advocating for a project manager for quite some time as well I can't be in all spaces at one time. I also don't take it lightly that Gary is one of the most blighted cities in the United States, right? But we're trying to, there's a lot of problems when it comes to demolition, understanding our process and how we can refine that. There's just a lot happening within this department that I just don't think many understand. But when it comes to capacity building, being able to have more bandwidth, be able to answer phone calls, or be able to set up more additional times to meet with individuals one-on-one. I can't meet with everyone one-on-one when they want to meet with me one-on-one. I would love to do that if I could, but I just can't give everybody the attention that they see that they want, that, we're handling. You can only handle so much to be able to win a lot of job opportunities, for the city. People may not be happy with the time period when we reach out, but getting the support from Corey will help be able to be responsive, and working with Nate. Nate has been not only helping with financial, but now she's going to be shifting into being more on a day-to-day basis with individual developers or organizations that are seeking support from the city. So it all took time. Nate got on board three weeks ago. We're trying to formalize Ms. Sharp's contract now so she can have more confidence in her position here and support. And then looking to be able to maximize, my own executive assistant so he could do more. But that all hasn't happened until in the last few weeks.
So it seems like a lot of people have responsibilities. So when all these responsibilities is covered, what's going to be your responsibility?
My responsibility is leading and executing the mayor's vision. It's understanding the history, understanding being able to make better decisions, more informed decisions, maximizing how financially there's a lot of things legislatively that could affect our general budget, right? So how do we change our redevelopment strategy outside of maybe focusing on our TIFs and focusing on areas that are not in TIFs so we can help support the general fund? That's supposed to be the basis of redevelopment, is supporting the general fund so we can increase our budget. So I'll be focusing more on how we can maximize, as we update our comprehensive plan, redevelopment opportunities in sites that are outside of TIFs that can help support our general fund. That's what redevelopment and redevelopment commission is supposed to do, is help that process. So I'll be focusing more on what are areas outside of TIFs that are going to help the city's bottom line in the future moving forward. Okay.
Dumas.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ellis Dumas, Chief of Staff for the City of Gary, on behalf of Mayor Milton. I just want to answer some of your questions that you also had to add to it, Commissioner Clemens. Thank you for those questions. What you just said is literally the sentiments of what we're trying to do. The same Councilman and Commissioner Washington can speak to just early last year, we had many concerns, issues with planning, people saying they were not getting contacted back, things of that sort. Ms. Sharp came in and put in structure, and that's what happens. We have the same number of people that we've had for many years throughout the administrations, and we did try many different things. We are not immune to saying that we will try, and if we fail, we'll admit to failure and then try something differently. What Ms. Sharp has come and done with the planning department and zoning department is provide structure that provides an opportunity to then begin to talk about what those processes, so that people also know what the expectations are. Sometimes, unfortunately, many people have unreasonable expectations, so setting the expectation to say, just at the beginning, hey, if you leave a message, we'll return that message within this time frame. Someone will get back to you. That's what's happened, and then making sure that communication, that like you said before, our planning and zoning has gone really well, even just making sure that the petitioners are attending the council meetings and the BZA meetings so that they can get their questions and or their yea or nay so the legislative body can do so. This is what we're trying to do also for this. As you remember from the presentation from last month, just having a detailed budget, ensuring that the commissioners have the information prior to the meeting, ensuring that there's communication, just as the presentation came right before this, that very early on, there should be, as early as we find out as a redevelopment commission and as a city that there's an interest in the project, bringing that individual before the commission. We know that's way early. There's a lot of vetting that needs to happen, but you should hear it and the public should hear that there's even an interest so that we can go down the road and it's not a surprise if it's leaked out there that this person's looking at this property. there's no shock. We knew they came and presented. Yeah, we know they looked. And that's what she's providing in this process. Also, as he talked about taking those same individuals that are already employees and putting in capacities. Right now, not all of those positions are filled, but that's because we're assessing. We don't necessarily need to always fill, we need to fix the processes. And that's what we've seen. We would not put more on her to bear. You asked why the two departments or why both departments. I know that question has come up. These departments should not work in silos, especially zoning, planning, and redevelopment. The individuals that are coming and seeking different zoning appeals should also have been brought to this commission, or this commission should be aware of in many cases. And that's what's starting to happen as well. As you also know, just physical location. The department is now on the 3rd floor. Everybody's on the 3rd floor. So we're not sending our residents and or business owners or future businesses from here to that floor, to that floor, to that building. Some of those pieces have come by recommendation already from Ms. Sharp. So again, we are extremely confident as a team that if the contract is approved, they will just only continue to mirror that process. I just employ on behalf of the administration that the commission allow for that opportunity to prove it. I am that confident that she will do that, and you will see the dividends pay out in regards to it. Again, remember to also, by this being a contract, if it does not work out, that contract can be stopped. There's out clauses, there's all type of causes and situations in it if we don't feel that that's the outcome. But we are that confident that it will work, as we've seen it already. One, her having a history with producing in communities like Zionsville and the Southern Indiana and Central Indiana. We believe that those same assets, if not greater, exist here, and we just have to have the right processes in place to do so.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Washington?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ellis. I've had a chance to work with Ms. Sharp as chairman of planning and development regarding legislation, was able to go to a planning commission meeting. And I support this contract. I think Ms. Sharp is fresh and is what's needed. My concern is not with Ms. Sharp. My concern is with the current staff of redevelopment and ensuring that they are going to be able to follow the direction, because she's well equipped in her resume. And I've gotten a chance to speak to some people in Central Indiana and other places about her background. And in just working with her, I think this is an added addition. My concern is making sure that she's a contractor, but our concern, and I have to back up with what Mr. Clemens said, is that the concern that we've gotten from contractors, from everyday residents that, as Mr. Ellis said, and they're working on it, I don't want to belabor it, but calls not being returned, procedures not being followed. And that's my major concern, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I believe she's well worth her money, but we're also paying Mr. Harris about the same thing. And so eventually, I would love to see her come in full time, but I know that's not her niche. But eventually my hope is that her intervention in this development will ignite the current staff to be able, after her contract is over, and I don't know how long she's gonna be with us, but her expertise will bring something to redevelopment that will last a long time. Because what I'm getting calls on is just common courtesy. It's about returning calls. It's about questions. It's about just the little things. It's not major things about major development. And we are learning and we're restructuring. We have a finance committee. I'm hoping that we can, as a board, create a projects committee, because the people that came from Indianapolis, see, this meeting is going to be long tonight. And we gave them the opportunity, but we got to afford another opportunity for potential developers to come in and just give their spiel without having to be on the time limit. And that's something as a commission that we can figure out. But I really believe Corey Sharp is somebody that's innovative, and I really applaud the administration for bringing her, because I was skeptical too. Because we had Wendy Vache and all these other people that everybody talks a good game, everybody gives word salad. But she's about the real deal, and I've worked with her. And if something happens that turns a complete left, which I don't think is going to happen, I believe that we have the right person in Corey Sharp that can help revitalize this community. So I will be supporting this contract. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie,
Yes.
Commissioner Washington,
Yes.
and President Stallings.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you and welcome to the redevelopment, Ms. Sharp. We will move on to item number 9 under new business, resolution number 7534. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stallings. Resolution 7534 is the 2025 Redevelopment Commission budget, a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission approving the Redevelopment Commission budget for the calendar year 2025. Again, we had an opportunity to share this information with the Commission on our January 22nd, 2025 meeting. And we had a Finance Committee meeting in early February to go line by line through the budget. There are 2 opportunities I do want to share an update with the redevelopment budget. We included in the Lakefront East TIF a project opportunity for Lake Street, offering more additional parking for the Lake Street Business Corridor. We included that in the budget. That was something that we discussed during the Finance Committee meeting that we added. And then we found an opportunity to pay off our Truck City bond payment and our Truck City TIF. We have the additional revenues within that TIF to be able to just take care of that bond payment early and be done with the bonds associated with that project. Outside of that, everything remains the same from our Finance Committee meeting, but just wanted to share those 2 highlights and changes to the redevelopment budget.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Well, being on the Finance Committee, I move to approve 7534.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Yes. It was really enlightening to be on this committee that Darren Washington put together on January of 3 members, Darren, Dermot, and me, and 2 of us were there, and there was the controller, Cecilia Green, which told us a lot of things. In fact, I've been asking for a year and a half for these balances and where are we and financially. And finally, I found out the good, bad, and ugly of where we are. And I mean good, bad, and ugly. And but this is a budget. And a budget is a budget. And it has to be passed to bring in funds in which I have found out. Well, in one account, the one that we just talked about, paying these past 2024 bills, and will be all paid once we approve this budget, because there's going to be something like $1.5 million coming into that fund. And also, there'll be $2 million coming into the fund of the downtown consolidated district, which has money and is in good shape. Now, there is some other ugly parts of the budget that are what they are, in deficits in bond payments, but they are carried, they are dealt with by the legal department, and this is nothing unusual, as I found out. I mean, as a businessman, I couldn't do these kind of things, you know. Government, I guess, can. And I'm really, really, really happy that Darren, that we put together this committee. I just wish you were there at it. Really learned a lot. Because Cecilia doesn't hold back. She tells you what it is. And as you can see, I think it's necessary to pass this budget as a budget, 2025, so that we can get the money and pay bills that we should have paid all last year. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Ms. Dunham?
Yes, I just want to say sitting on the Finance Committee was enlightening, and Ms. Green actually walked us through item by item. A lot of it I still don't understand because I'm new on the commission, but I do think that she put it out there and told us, you know, there were some people actually at her office on that day waiting to be paid out. And so I think that it's very important that we pass this budget. And so I will be voting yes for this budget.
One more thing. I don't know if I said this, by having 3 members on this Finance Committee, it became a public meeting. We were right here. The camera was rolling. So I don't know who watched it, but I like it that it's public. Everything was out in the open.
Yeah, Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
I agree wholeheartedly, and this will give us the opportunity to have somebody working with our staff to ensure that these dilemmas don't come up at the last minute. And more importantly, we need to have consistent finance committee meetings, not only when there is the passing of the budget or if there's a crisis, but public too also. These are your tax dollars that's being spent. So I think that you should also, if you have opportunity, come to these meetings to hear about the finances and what's being done by the administration to help redevelop this city. Because we're trying to get a hold on making sure that, you know, our TIFs are not overspent, making sure that we have projects that the mayor wants to use to be able to redevelop this city. But most importantly, you want to be able to have a stake and comments in what is being done with your tax dollars. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and thank you all, Commissioner. Especially thanks to those who serve on the Finance Committee, because that was one of the challenges we've had in the past. People wanted to know where's the money. So now we are having a public meeting about our finances, and therefore the community will have a very good understanding of where our finances are and how we are spending them. So kudos to the Finance Committee. If there are not any other questions or comments, roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington? Yes. And President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We will now move to the next item on the agenda under new business, which is resolution number 7535. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stallings. Resolution 7535 is a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing an RFP opportunity for the stadium restaurant operation, formerly known as Bennigan's. This is an opportunity to ask for permission from the commission in an effort to develop an RFP for this site. Understand that we have the ability in downtown Gary to leverage the sites that we do have control over. It's the mayor's vision and effort to be able to put these properties out publicly in a way that we can find and secure a new tenant and attraction to our downtown.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Mr. Dumas, could you expound on this? Because you know more about it than.
Well, so the first and foremost, the biggest piece is that we know the location is sitting vacant currently. This is the most transparent. We try to be transparent. Putting out an RFP allows for the commissions to see who responds and then make a decision on the best, most responsive RFP. We know there's a lot of local restaurants that may be even interested in relocating or from other communities and things of that sort, or even within our own community. So this was just a way to put it before the commission in regards to it, and also try to capitalize on, as you know, the commission supplements a lot of the costs for operations of the Railcats and the facilities. We have to start generating some income, but more importantly, having great places for our community to go to eat, and just be downtown as we revitalize downtown is really, really important. So this was just trying to be as transparent as possible to give everybody a fair shake. I'm quite sure you all have been connected or reached out to about locations for restaurant buildings and things of that sort. This is just trying to make sure everybody has a fair shake at it.
Yeah, the only reason why I called you up was because he said Mayor's vision, and, you know, you would expound on it and did a good job. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Ms. Dunham?
How long has the building been vacant?
The building has been vacant roughly for 2.5, 3 years. I think the last tenant that operated out of that space was Phenomenal Ribs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the Diamond Center a part of this?
So the Diamond Center, we want to study, in effort to create the RFP, we want to get appraisals for the property. Some general feedback I received from the market is that the original Bennigan site was too large of a footprint for modern franchise opportunities. So we don't want to saddle that with potentially the Diamond Center as well. So we're going to do some market research before we craft the final version of the RFP.
All right. Roll call. Oh, there wasn't. The chair will entertain a motion for
I got a question first, Mr. Stalling. So with the RFP, when you have potential owners that come and solicit, are they going to have the backgrounds check and then be able to provide a presentation before the commission?
Absolutely. So we will make sure that the qualifications are clear in the RFP, and we'll be able to share that with the commission, and then we'll have the responses be present during this commission meeting when we're ready to open up bids, and we'll ask those entities to be present.
Well, I say try to set up another meeting, not a commission meeting, that they strictly can come, because if you have about 6 people that want to do presentations, Ms. Dunham, we'll be here for like 5 hours, and I know you don't want that.
Well, yeah, it's either that
Probably
we have
the
another
finance
meeting.
committee might be a
yeah,
good
I mean, we can have
place
another meeting, or we could, have a long presentation period, whichever. So depending on the commission schedules, if the commission is available to have another meeting separate with the restaurateurs, then more than welcome to do that. But if we want to save the commissioners' time and be able to use this time period for the commission meeting, we can do that as well.
Just come to the finance committee meeting. We're not taking votes. Just come to the finance committee meeting. They do the presentations.
Yeah, we'll let the commission.
Can you all kind of
decide.
work that out?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion for resolution number 7535.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Questions or comments? I think we've had those already. Roll call, sir.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stalling?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, we now move on to resolution number 7536. Mr. Harris?
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7536 is a resolution for a professional service contract with Crow LLP to provide financial consulting services to the commission. Understand that we're obligated by state statute to share our annual report and upload that into DLGF. Crow would be responsible for helping us compile that information for activity that occurred in the calendar year 2024, along with financial services, helping us evaluate more efficiencies with our TIF in budgeting. We'd like to come up with at least a 3 to 5 year plan for our TIFs so we can understand what projects we desire to pursue. And we can, if we have an opportunity to pay off debt faster, we can analyze what that looks like amongst the commission members in the finance committee meeting. So that's another opportunity for Crow with our financial services, along with evaluating that if we could develop another TIF in our city along the Broadway corridor in Glen Park. I know that's something that was brought up to me from our council person looking for opportunities to encourage growth and development along the Broadway corridor in Glen Park. We currently do not have a TIF to serve the Glen Park community, it may be needed. So we want to be able to have Crow LLP to be able to offer those services to staff and help us evaluate with the commission to make the best financial decisions moving forward this calendar year 2025 and preparing for budgeting through 2026 and 2027.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion and I have a question.
Motion
I make a motion to approve Resolution 7536.
And then can we get a second, just so we can discuss it? That doesn't, again, the motion. Okay.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
So I have a question about the contract. So have we used them before, and is this common practice that this is a service that is needed?
Yes, so it's a common.
Okay.
It's a common.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. It's a common service that we have. Last year we used SEH to provide our annual report. So we're just switching up the services. We had a particular contact at SEH that used to work for the city of Gary. He worked at another entity, Cinder and Cinder. Now that he's no longer there, we have the opportunity to really just switch up the financial entity that we desire to utilize. So we have not used Crow before. We're confident of their services, but this is a service that we need because we need to have the annual report conducted to be in compliance with state statute.
One more, was that contract the same? The contract that you used prior to Crow was the same amount of money?
Last year for SEH, if I'm not mistaken, the contract was just solely for the annual report, and that was roughly $15,000. But we're asking for additional support for our TIFs that we didn't ask from SEH and Baker Tilly last year. This is solely helping us with our budget and helping us evaluate our TIF budgets and how we can maybe establish a new TIF.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Roll call.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
No.
Commissioner Stallings?
Yes.
Motion passes with 3 ayes, 2 noes.
Now move on to the next resolution, number 7537, Powers and Sons, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stallings. Resolution 7537 is a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing a change order for Powers and Sons Construction Company for renovations to the U.S. Steel Yard. I want to give context to the scope. So the base scope for Powers and Sons for the U.S. Steel Yard renovation was $1,056,000. This scope was executed between January 2024 and May 2024. The suite level is now renovated, actively being marketed by the Railcats, and we're working out internally between the City of Gary and the Redevelopment Commission how we can begin to market that for ourselves for events and activities. But it has debuted last year. To the public's point, we're going to be able to magnify that effort that had taken place last year by the spring season of 2025. But the work has been completed. This change order for $23,000 is in regard to an area of T&M at the bar area that the Powers and Sons team, there was some discrepancy regarding the contract documents regarding patch and tape. We removed selective demo in what used to be the press box. We developed a bar area, and the scope was a little bit unclear about patch and tape and where that delineation between patch and tape began and where it ended. That resulted into roughly $23,000 change order for the scope for this project. understanding that change orders are common on construction projects. This is something that was negotiated. We started off initially, there was a dispute of $100,000 of the scope. I've, over months, requested additional backup to justify and understand, to make the change order make sense, because it didn't quite, wasn't quite justified. So understanding the hours and the tickets that were signed by the GC, agreed upon by the architect that managed this project, we finally were able to settle at that being the agreed upon amount, the $23,000 for the additional taping and patching that was required above the bar area at the U.S. Steel Yard renovation scope that we've conducted. This will close out the U.S. Steel Yard renovation scope, and we just want to make sure we can settle up and close the books on this project.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Question.
Let's have a motion and then we can talk about it.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moving properly second. Questions or comments, Mr. Clemens?
Our redevelopment commission budget claim sheet from January 2022 states that we still owe Powers and Son $349,000. Has that been paid?
I believe it has not, because it was intended to come from the consolidated TIF. So because we didn't have the budget approved, the claim was approved in January, but we cannot satisfy the payment because we didn't approve the budget until minutes ago. Now that the budget has been approved, the finance department will then allow that payment to be remitted.
So is there a timeline when it'll get paid?
It's the intent that we can get everyone paid up, hopefully by the end of next week.
And Powers and Son understands that, because to owe them close to $400,000 and for them to come back and say, "Hey, we'll do this work for $23,000," I wouldn't even be having a conversation if I hadn't been paid.
So this work was already conducted during the time of the construction project. So this was the dispute that happened while the construction project was happening, above and beyond the project scope, and that the balance of what they were owed along with this change order is what was remaining. So this wasn't additional work that they did after the project was completed. This was work that was happening during the scheduled duration, but there was the deliberation about the contract documents and what needed to happen in real time. So this is just settling out pretty much an old claim.
They're owed $370 all together once it's closed out.
Correct. That would close out. So their total contract scope was $1,056,000. Most of that $300,000 is the balance of their total contract, and then the $23,000 is the change order. So if you take the $23,000 minus the balance that you see before you from the January claim, that would be what their base scope was, and then the $23,000 be the change order.
How long did we hold this balance since they completed the suite?
Part of it, there are two things. Most time on all projects, you're required to hold a certain percentage until you get your closeout documents. I didn't receive closeout documents for this project until January of 2025. Although the work has been completed since roughly May, June of 2024, along with the dispute, I didn't receive closeout documents until January. So we want to make sure that we hold leverage when it comes to work and warranties that we've conducted that are owed to us. We want to make sure we got all of that in place and settled up. And because I received the closeout documents in January, and because we've settled on the change order amount, that's why we want to be able to move forward to close out Powers and Sons for the work they completed last year.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Washington?
So has Powers completed everything that they're supposed to complete?
They've completed everything they're supposed to complete.
Everything is done?
Everything is done.
Okay.
You have the papers to close out?
Yeah, I have the closeout documents. I forwarded it digitally. I forwarded it digitally to the commission in January. I can re-forward it if it was missed, but it came through OneDrive.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from
So
commissioners?
total change orders did Powers introduce? Just this one?
Just this one.
Good. That's real good. Yeah. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes, and thank you for that explanation.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move on to resolution number 7539, American Eagle. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7539 is a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing the amendment to contract with American Eagle security services provided during the year 2024. Understand that we entered into a contract with American Eagle for $60,000 in 2024. They did perform additional work in Wirt High School. Initially, we had a camera in the very beginning of the year at Wirt High School. We added an additional temporary camera, and that scope wasn't covered in the original base contract. We decided after having multiple situations in the beginning of the year, 2024, that then the Genesis Center needed more attention, and we relocated that camera from Wirt High School, that additional camera that we requested, and moved that from Wirt to the Genesis Center for additional monitoring. But that additional camera wasn't a part of the $60,000 scope that we originally contracted with American Eagle for. So I'm asking for approval of this resolution of $3,150 to increase their contract amount for 2024 so we can get them settled up for the work that they've performed for the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The pleasure of the commission.
I have a question before I make a motion. Is that in order?
Let's make a motion and then we can questions and comments during.
Okay, I make a motion to that we approve resolution 7539.
There a second?
I'll second to bring it to the floor.
It has been moved and properly second. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Dunham.
So my question is, so the city owns Wirt High School? We own Wirt High School?
The Redevelopment Commission owns Wirt High School, correct?
Okay. And you also said this was for security services at the Genesis Center?
Correct.
And what other services are we offering out of this?
So for this scope that we had with American Eagle for calendar year 2024 is really focused at the Genesis Convention Center. That we have not only do we have 2 cameras, but we also have a burglary alarm system at the Genesis Center to make sure that if there are any individuals inside, that we can actively and quickly find who those individuals are. The Gary Police Department is tied in with the system as well, and that's a part of the scope.
So I'm sure that I know the Genesis Center for Senior Citizens, I mean, that's still on their wish list. So I guess, that's why we continue to secure it.
Correct.
And Wirt High School, I guess that's just on our wish list for somebody to buy it, I'm supposing. And that's why we're securing that as well. And I know the Miller citizens, that's their thing as well. So Mr. Rogie, that's your group. You all want work secured.
Yes, and I was on the board when the American Eagle came here and made a presentation, and it was a father and son organization, and they do what they say they're doing, will do, but that was a couple of years ago, and do we have a current contract now? And if we do have a current contract, how long is it for? Is it?
We currently don't have a contract with American Eagle today. We needed to get him caught up with payment. He's been very flexible in wanting to work with the commission. He's been working with the commission for several years, so he wanted to create an enhanced scope with the Redevelopment Commission. I've also been working with Controller Green because we identified a financial resource that won't need to come out of our TIF or our non-reverting fund that can help satisfy a much robust security contract for the Genesis Center.
It says that American Eagle is owed $60,000.
He's been paid. He's been paid.
Okay. Does his equipment work? Because as you can see, the Genesis Center has been defaced. What happened? I thought you were going to update us on how did they get, over the roof and to paint the front of it with that graffiti. What happened with the equipment?
I'd like to, so the equipment did catch the situation. I don't want to disclose publicly how it happened.
Okay.
But that was caught and it was shared with GPD. There are individuals that will be very creative in how they try to deface or exploit our community. But it's better than nothing. When I started, the building was wide open, and it was our commission responsibility. The mechanical, electrical, and plumbing has been completely gutted between 2020 and 2024. We've hardened the space to the best of our ability. We have significantly reduced the number of burglaries, but there are people that do try. It's not perfect, but at least now we have an opportunity to understand when people are there, if they are, and we dispatch GPD regularly. But without that equipment, we never know who's there. But with the equipment, rest assured, I get the notification at 3 a.m. So does GPD, and they're dispatched.
President Stalin.
Yes.
I do want to make a comment because when I did see, I never heard of dogs before. And when I did see, because I bank on Fifth Avenue, and when I saw that it was secured, I was happy to see that because I know what was happening, before. So I do have to commend the administration for securing it because it wasn't secured, it was wide open. And so how people get in there and that kind of thing, we know, what people want to do to the city of Gary. So we have to be proactive and not be reactive. And I just think that it looks better than it was prior to the administration taking over.
Appreciate that.
So the rear of the Genesis Center was where it was being breached. Is it the camera back there?
We can, as a commission, if we want to invest in that, we can.
I think we should.
I would like to refrain from that.
What?
We know that there's some weak points, and that's something that we can discuss as a commission, maybe in executive session. But I want to be careful about what we put out in the airwaves because it is reviewed. But I understand your concern, Commissioner Clemens, about if we can secure and patch the weak points. But part of that is with the dogs equipment that we have on the upcoming resolution. We have the ability to be able to do that, and we can work with American Eagle to provide additional security services more than what we have now for our blind spots. In that we have a alternate funding source that I found with Salida that is actually paid through, I believe, the innkeeper's tax that could help support additional security for the Genesis Center.
No, what I was saying was before it was the camera that alerted you when someone entered the rear of the building. Just like Myers had the blue blinking light.
Yeah.
You have that eye right on the back of the facility. So is that the kind of technology we're talking about, or just a regular CDC?
Yeah, the technology that we have there too.
Security is an issue for an executive session item.
Okay.
So let's please refrain. We can hold an executive session and ask all clear-cut questions. We don't want to give any inkling for genius thieves and thugs to go and do more harm to the facility. Please, Mr. King.
All right. Okay. Roll call, sir.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Got a question.
Oh, okay.
I agree with Ms. Dunham. It's a blessing to have those locations boarded. This is the $1 million question. The longer that those facilities stay vacant, Midnight Marauders have already gone out. What is the plan to either tear down Word and the Genesis Center or to redevelop, or what are we doing with those two structures? Because those are two huge structures. Word High School is in the middle of a great community. Is there a plan in place to look at, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if anybody would put any money to rehab either one of those facilities. It would probably be more sufficient to tear down and build. But what is the plan, if any, for those two structures, those huge structures?
Sure. I can speak to the Genesis Center is that we intend for a request for information to be issued after the middle of March to be able to put that out to the community to understand if could the building be adaptively reused as an entertainment venue, or could we offer mixed use development opportunities? We want to give developers one last hurrah, one last opportunity to take a look at the existing conditions and make that public and make that available to the commissioners so that we can make the most informed decision possible. We understand, I mean, I grew up with the Genesis Center. I know that many others have, as well as being a central locating place to be able to celebrate and have positive events and activities in downtown. We also understand the historical significance of that structure being designed by Wendell Campbell in a time when the city had to fight for a convention center. And we had to fight on a federal level in an effort to get our convention center when other communities across the state were being state funded for theirs. So we want to make sure that we make the decision in a timely fashion and in a way that is meaningful as well from the development community. But understanding where we are now with particular decisions that are being made, we thought it was best to be able to hold on our RFI of the Genesis Center until we understood matters that be in the middle of March. And then when it comes to Word High School, we've asked for state resources to help us demolish that structure. I mean, it's a large building. It's an extremely large building, but it's adjacent to one of our best assets, Marquette Park. So we've asked for state support. We're still navigating that process. And if we can offer that site in a development opportunity, we will. We're in the process of updating our comprehensive plan, to which we wanted to get community feedback on these major sites. We're, along with the building, sitting on 18 acres of land adjacent to Marquette Park. You don't have that level of real estate that exists in Northwest Indiana that could be really maximized. But we also want to be mindful with what the public wants, because we don't want to offer any development opportunity that the public is not going to be happy with. So as we
Have you
update
talked to the community about what they would like to see at that location?
Not yet, because we're going to include that in our comprehensive plan update process.
So how long is that going to take?
July 1st.
And the reason why I ask you is
Yeah.
because I get calls from residents in the first, as does Mr. Rogie, and wanting to know what is the plan of the administration. And so this plan has also been asked of the last administration and the one previous to that. And we were always told, well, we're working on it. So it's going on, 12 years. And not that this administration has anything to do with that, but I think it probably needs to be a public forum to get suggestions. How much did it cost to tear down Lew Wallace?
I don't have that figure in front of me, but
on Lew Wallace?
No, that was the Gary Community School Corporation
owned
that.
Okay.
But I mean, I could tell you that we did put a special request in with Frank Mervan's office to demolish Ivanhoe Elementary School on the west side. And for that project, I believe we've asked for like roughly $850,000 for Ivanhoe Elementary. That's on a federal level. That's a federal ask, and we're waiting to see how things shake out in Washington, D.C. But just to give you some,
have you asked about
relevance.
Word yet?
Here, we had a dollar limit when it came to our ask. Word High School is probably going to be around 1.5 to 2 million to demolish. So again, we've asked for state resources to help support us, because for what we have in the commission's budget, we don't have that capacity. And it's very difficult when we could make impact elsewhere. But before we do that, just like the Genesis Center, if there is a opportunity to rehab that structure and we could put that out to the market based on what the public wants, let's do so, right? But we can only do so when we have that feedback from the public as we update our comprehensive plan. These school sites are nothing to sneeze at. I think we've learned in the past and the previous administration that if you hurry up and rush these sites, you might get a deterrent, right? We don't, or you might get a situation that's not very amenable to what the public wants. So there are some other circumstances, like I said, for the Genesis Center that we were hoping to make a quick, faster decision, but we don't want to demolish our convention center without understanding where we are in the future moving forward with what we're asking for in Senate Bill 434.
Okay.
So
I'm just asking because I don't want 2027 and 28 to be here, and we're still at the same place.
So understand that we have the resources in Senate Bill 434 to demolish the Genesis Center.
Okay.
So we have the resources to do so. That's something that in previous administrations they didn't have, but we do.
Okay.
So we have the leverage, but we want to be able to make sure that we give it one last opportunity with development advice from what the market sees as an opportunity. If they don't see an opportunity, it can come down. But we have the resources, and that didn't exist in the past.
Yes, and you explained it wonderfully. Now we need to see some action.
Well, we'll see the action when we are strategic, because again,
Well, that's on you all.
it is. But I don't know if you've read between the lines what I've said.
When you say but is an excuse for your limitations, and when you ask for your limitations, you always get them. All I'm asking you to do is everything you just said, put it to action. Get a community forum, talk to the people and see what they would like. Get your comprehensive plan, work with Corey Sharp, work with the Planning Commission to look at what would be the best use for that facility. We're looking at trying to get another convention center over by Hard Rock. Depending on what happens with that, the thing is, we need some tangibles. We need a plan.
So we have a plan, and I think you maybe missed my message.
No, I got your message. I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. I think that's the and I'm telling you as chairman of planning and development, you can say it, you say a lot, but we want to see action. We want to see something implemented. So whatever that is getting it finalized, getting it approved, get it done. When I asked you a question about the Genesis Center and work, that question wouldn't have came up tonight at this meeting if I wouldn't have asked. So therefore, we would have just been in a limbo about what was going on with those two structures. That's all.
Mr. President.
I want to say.
Yeah, Ms. Donovan, then Mr. Clemens. Go ahead.
So there's a meeting next week, March the 6th, about the convention center. And so I believe that's what Mr. Harris, I would think that he's alluding to. I mean, it's only two left in that competition for that
No. I'm not talking
center.
about the current conventions. I was talking about the Genesis Center.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about that, but I'm just saying I doubt if we will have two convention centers in the city of Gary. I don't even think we have that capacity. So that's what I'm saying. So there's a meeting next Thursday, March 6th, for the community to come out and see, what's going on. The president of Hard Rock is going to be there. And so I think that's good ammunition for the city of Gary to have him at the table, because we know what Hard Rock brings as an international entity into this city. And so I'm just saying, the Genesis, we know who wants the Genesis, but we know, is it real? So I'm just saying, if you're going to get a brand new convention center and then you have the Genesis Center, what do you think the community would rather have? I'm just saying. I've been here all my life. I kind of know the community, and I'm just saying, new versus old. So I'm just saying that I believe when he kept saying March, that's what he was alluding to, that there's going to be a meeting. And hopefully all of us as commissioners will be at that meeting to hear what's coming out the pike for the convention center. So 2 convention centers, a Genesis and a brand new one. What's the options?
I understand
That's just my comment.
I would ask the commission, I know we can have this conversation for all night long.
Yeah.
And I just think that.
Commissioner Solomon, I want to say this real
quick.
But
because
I
think
there's
first, then you can go, because I don't have
no
problem with that.
I'm going to just get right back to my security issue. There's a video floating around of the Post-Tribune, and they breached the Post-Tribune and showing all these negative videos of the Post-Tribune. My concern is Gary is trying to portray an image of a city on the come up. We have to make sure that we secure the biggest elephant in the room, which is the Genesis Center. That's why I'm implying that if American Eagle is securing it, the graffiti shouldn't be on the front of it. So we got to make sure that if we are paying them, that we're sure that that building is secured, period. That's it, because that video of the Post-Tribune is wild. And it's just a punch in the eye to what's really going on in this community. I know you probably saw it.
I did.
And add to that, it's fair to say, I don't think the Genesis Center will ever be a convention center. And I don't care what kind of pool Hard Rock has. The person that's going to be responsible for that convention center is Commissioner Mike Repay. So that's why at our council meetings, we're asking residents to write all the commissioners for that. So that we can do that presentation, and I think it's great. but I'm hoping the flood of letters are going to Commissioner Wright Repay because he's probably going to be the deciding factor if we actually get that convention center. And the Genesis Convention Center, if we do not get that convention center, it is not in the shape, and we don't have the money to make that a convention center in the first place. Because if that was the case, we probably would be able to do something. We wouldn't be going to a different location. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Any other questions or comments?
I just
Mr.
don't
Rowe,
want
go ahead.
lose what we're looking at. We're looking at passing $3,150 for a past commitment to American Eagle. Thank you.
No more questions or comments. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
And President Stalling.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move to resolution number 7540, Republic Waste Allied. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7540 is a resolution approving and authorizing an amendment to a service contract with Republic Services doing business as Allied Waste. The commission, the department wishes to enter into a contract with the above contractor, Allied Waste, for an amount not to exceed $149,900 for the calendar year 2025. Understand that for all of our demolition efforts, Republic in the past has served as the transfer station of where that debris is hauled. So for our contractors that are responsible, that we work with to demolish structures for us on our behalf, this is the service that we utilize, and I'm asking the commission to approve this contract.
Okay, you've heard Mr. Harris. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
And President Stalling.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Move on to the contract renewal resolution number 7541, all state appraisals. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7541 is a resolution for the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing and ratification of execution of professional service contract with Allied Appraisal to provide appraisal services for the commission. Understand that an effort for us to enter into or to develop RFPs, we're required by state statute to acquire 2 appraisals for properties that are above $66,000. Yeah, approximately $6,000. We need to have the average of 2 appraisals in effort to include that average price or above the commission desires. An effort to dispose of property. So both Allstate and I'll be getting ahead of myself with Gorman would serve the same function to offer 2 entities that will provide us those appraisal services so we can do business in the city and disposing of property like so many individuals desire, development opportunities that exist. We need to have this mechanism in place in effort for us to be able to acquire these appraisals and dispose of property and generate revenue.
Okay, you've heard Mr. Harris. What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 7541.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there questions or comments? I have one question, Mr. Harris. So these 2 entities, Gorman, which is 7542, they will be doing the same thing?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And you'll just have 2 appraisers?
Correct. 2 appraisers. Okay. They would be independent, but they would both be appraising a site that we're entering or developing an RFP for.
So we will take care of having more than 1 appraiser?
Correct.
Okay. No other questions? Any questions or comments? Ms.
I
Dunn
do.
or Mr. Rogie?
I was not happy with the appraisals that we saw on many pieces of land that we had for sale. And we talked about that, Mr. Harris and I just think that there's got to be other appraisers out there that will appraise city of Gary as what, as it should be. Not the city of Gary 30, 40 years ago, city of Gary today, which is, moving and grooving. So I was not happy. Mostly the ones in the appraisal in Miller. It was just way off. Even the appraisal of Word High School. It's ridiculous. Oh, wait, I said that.
Just a question, President.
Ms. Dunham, Mr. Washington, then Ms. Dunham. Go
I
ahead.
think, Ms. Harris, you shared your disagreement with the appraisals that came out, especially from Allstate, because I think when the appraisal came out for Word, it was appraised at 0.
Yeah. Yep, I can give context to that. Thank you, Commissioner Washington, for bringing that up. I did have a conversation with Allstate Appraisal about my concern, and he was very appreciative because they always, in their practice, like to understand the range where they are with other appraisers looking at the same sites. And they are aware of the discrepancy. After I met with the commission and had that conversation with you all, I went back and I scheduled a meeting with Allstate in our office late last year and shared with him the commission's concerns. And I shared with him a few examples. And he was very appreciative because he wants to make sure that he's as accurate as possible and that they're following the appraisal ethical standard, right, of making sure that they're giving the best comps associated with properties. So I definitely understand the commission's reservation. We still have the ability, if we are able to pass this professional service contract, we can entertain other options. I just want to make sure that if we can reduce the scope if this is approved and find other appraisers, and then find, we can, for example, we can do a deduct change order. If we're not happy, we find another entity that the commission is comfortable with, they can bring before us. Maybe we have a executive session and we have an interview. But the reason why I would like to move forward with these two is that after giving that feedback to Allstate, they took that on. I haven't gotten a new appraisal after that conversation because we've kind of frozen disposal of property for quite a few months. Now that we're moving forward, I'm more interested to see and intrigued to see if that discrepancy exists still, the range. And I think from there, I like to entertain with the commission if we want to bring in new entities. I'm more than willing to do that. I just don't want to hold up the process, at least for some critical items that we like to move forward with, and initial appraisals, and introduce someone else moving forward. If we don't feel comfortable, we feel like the same pattern is being had after the feedback was shared with Allstate, then we can pivot and deduct their contract and move with someone else. But I at least like to provide Allstate an opportunity to exercise their ability to appraise based on the feedback we provided.
Question, Mr. Harris.
Sure.
How long has Allstate been doing appraisals for the city?
Allstate has been doing appraisals for the city at least since the late 1990s, early 2000s.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So do we have any local appraisal companies that we can use, like Gary-based? Do we explore that option?
That's something that we can explore. I did not explore that this time around, but I'd be happy to take a look and see how we could refresh.
Mr. Chairman, I have to agree with Ms. Dunham because you have companies that are not only Gary but regional that know the value of this area. And I think that if I was Allstate and I was approached, I would take a different look too to get that contract. And so I don't agree. I'll be voting no on Allstate because, as Mr. Harris said, they've been here for years, and it took a conversation to get them to consider differently. I just think we need to go out and look at some additional local regional vendors that can appreciate the land value in this community.
And if I can add, Commissioner Washington, this was the first time when I pulled Allstate and had this meeting with them specifically. They said this is the first time anyone's ever given them feedback from the commission at all about the discrepancy. So that was interesting to know. And I would really like that to be taken into consideration, and no one's given
Now,
them
my question
feedback.
to you, are you listening to what we're saying? Because it seems like you're not.
I think that
To give them another opportunity, we've asking you to go and look at regional and local people that know the area. And just because you have a conversation with someone and they tell you, yeah, we consider, that's fine. We appreciate that. But we want you to look at other options.
So another question to
Ms. Dunham?
Harris. You said that, wow, senior moment. You said,
Blame it on
I'm talking about, okay, as far as, is there a time thing? Because you said you brought this to us just because you just brought it to us. So I'm saying, is there a reason, knowing that this appraisal company has not done, zero for Wirt School? I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, I thank you, Commissioner Dunham. I didn't finish my point about Wirt High School. So the reason why that entity had appraised Wirt High School at $0 value is the condition of the school itself, and understanding that the level of cost it would take to demolish that structure based on comps of that neighborhood, that the property as a whole appraised at $0, because if an entity needed to redevelop that site, they would need to either abate the school or demolish the school, and the value alone and the cost of needing to do that exceeded the comps in the general vicinity of Miller that made the property worth
Second
$0.
question, was there a time limit? I know you talked about state statutes and that kind of thing. Is there a time limit is why you have it on the agenda with this?
Not so much a time limit with state statute, but more so a time limit of business, and developing RFPs so that we can begin to put properties out for bid and disposal.
So why are you waiting until the end of February to bring this to us? This could have been brought in the beginning of January.
But we had a large budget. We had a large meeting in January, and we didn't want to put before the commission. We went through line by line with the budget.
Yeah,
and
Mr. Harris, but the main responsibility of the Redevelopment Commission is to ensure those properties are assessed. So this is very important too. It's just the fact that you bring something to us at the last minute, and you're definitely advocating for Allstate. I see that here. But you could put this up, but I agree that we need to go out and get some other appraised, get some other contractors, because I'll be voting no for this.
I want to make it clear too, also, that this has been out to the commissioners for 2 weeks, and I haven't received any feedback when this agenda went out. Just so the public understands that we can have the stance here, but I haven't received any call, any email regarding your concern with Allstate and Gorman being on the agenda.
But
And that's been over 2
Harris,
weeks.
you expecting us, first of all, we get agendas at the last minute. Secondly, you want us to call. But the thing is, there's so much on the agenda, so you think we're going to call you specifically and ask you about Allstate?
Absolutely.
You're
If
just
there was a
making up
concern.
excuses.
No, I'm not making up excuses.
You are making up
I
excuses.
provided this agenda for you for 2
Commissioner
weeks ago.
Washington, we have a motion on the floor. We're going to vote it up or we're going to vote it down. Any other discussion we can have it after the meeting, but we will not go back and forth about what someone has not done on their job. We as commissioners, we vote or we don't vote. So we voted up, but we're not going to spend a whole lot of time going back and forth in this meeting. So there's a motion on the floor. We can have a roll call and we can move forward. Roll call, sir.
Commissioner Clemens.
No.
Commissioner Dunham.
No.
Commissioner Rogie.
No.
Commissioner Washington.
No.
And Commissioner Stalling.
No.
Motion fails.
We will now move on to Gorman's resolution number 7542.
Resolution 7542 is a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing ratification and execution of a professional service contract with Gorman Group. And again, this is an opportunity similar to Allstate to offer appraisal services to the Redevelopment Commission.
You've heard Mr. Harris. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Got a question.
Mr. Clemens?
The property, the lot in the back of the palace, we had approved that. Who was the appraiser on that?
That was Gorman Group.
Okay, and they appraised it for how much? You recall?
That was roughly $1,000.
I won't be both.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens?
No.
Commissioner Dunham?
No.
Commissioner Rogie?
No.
Commissioner Washington?
No.
And Commissioner Stalling?
No.
Motion fails.
We move on to contract renewal resolution 7543, dogs. Mr. Harris.
Resolution 7543 is a resolution with the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing and ratification of a professional services contract with Door and Window Guard Systems Incorporated to install specialized security doors, windows at various locations. Door and Window Guard Systems, aka DOGS, is a proprietary system to secure the Genesis Convention Center, and we desire to enter into a contract with with DOGS with a contract not to exceed $29,880 for the continuance of that system to be installed on the Genesis Center for 2025.
You've heard Director Harris. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from any commissioners? Mr. Rogan.
Yes, last year was the first year we used them, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. And part of the cost last year was them to install them. Now, they're installed. So, and I understand we had to pay them to, since they're there. Some of this, I mean, we don't have to pay installment anymore. And they don't even have to do anything, do they? So what's the money for?
Yep. So they've installed the system. The cost, we received a renewed proposal to be able to maintain the dog system at the Genesis Convention Center. This is the proposal that they had shared with us. Along with it, at any point in time that we need to remove the material that the cost will be built in to this number as well.
Mr. Harris, I see here under the resolution says various locations. Is it various locations within the Genesis Center or various locations that the city had that needs to be secured?
This will be various locations at the Genesis Center site.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners?
Got a question.
Mr. Clemens?
Isn't the dog system on 8th and Broadway?
It is. It is on 8th Avenue and Broadway.
So that would be considered various locations, right?
I'll double check the proposal. Oh, it does include 839? Okay, got it. So forgive me. So that does include 839 Broadway and the Genesis Convention Center, the renewed proposal.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We now move on to resolution number 7544, Gatlin Plumbing and Heating. Mr. Harris?
Resolution 7544, a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission ratifying professional service contracts with Gatlin Plumbing and Heating for winterization at the Gary South Shore Railcats Baseball Stadium. Understand that the contractor has performed services in October of 2024. The commission and the department wishes to ratify the contract with the contractor so they can receive payment for the services rendered. Again, this is winterization. After the season is complete, we winterize the U.S. Steel Yard, and this is a resolution in an effort to satisfy Gatlin Plumbing and Heating's services that were rendered.
If you heard the presentation from Mr. Harris, what is the pleasure of the commission?
I move to bring it to the board, 7544.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Rogan.
What fund does this come out of? How do we pay?
So as I shared earlier, there's a resource that we receive from the innkeeper's tax to be able to help support the hardening of the Genesis Center. In the past, we paid this out of the consolidated TIF, to which we have increment 4 to be able to secure an asset. We have the ability to do so. But with the innkeeper's tax, we found an opportunity with Ms. Green, Controller Green, to be able to satisfy that payment moving forward.
Yes. Mr. Clemens.
We've used Gatlin Plumbing, seems year after year.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I think I referenced a different situation. I was on dogs. For the maintenance, I apologize, Commissioner Clemens. I just want to make sure I clarify my statement to Commissioner Rogi. In the past, we have been, in 2024, we've taken care of this out of the non-reverting fund. Now we do have a revenue source from the Railcats. We receive receipts from the Railcats in an effort to address operations and maintenance activity. We actually had a finance committee meeting yesterday in an effort to be able to utilize that fund for that purpose, for operation and maintenance. In the past, from what I understand, about 3 to 4 years ago, that process has fallen by the wayside of us getting receipts from the Railcats for ticket sales, and then we perform the work, and then we almost do like an exchange where they provide us the services. They provide us the revenue, and then we satisfy all the bills associated with the operation and maintenance work that we've done. In the past 3 to 4 years, we've kind of fallen off of that process, but after working with Controller Green, we've been able to identify that gap, and now we're being able to satisfy this with the revenue sales we received from the Railcats.
My question was simple, in that I was alluding to, it cannot come out of a consolidated TIF fund.
Yeah, my apologies.
Okay,
that's why I clarified. My mind was on dogs.
You have this new fund.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things you brought up in finance today that I think we need a finance committee meeting so I can learn more about this. I never heard of this gatekeeper thing, and I didn't know you had a new person to do finances and redevelopment. So I'm just saying, I think we need to be updated.
President Stalin.
Yes, Ms. Dunham.
And I know we go way back with the Railcats where Gary wasn't getting any revenue and things like that. So now you're saying that now there is revenue coming from the Railcats and they are paying their own maintenance and things like that? Is that what you just said?
Not quite. So in the contract agreement, the Railcats are required to provide us $150,000 or more based on ticket sales. If there's a certain threshold, we get $150,000. If it goes above, we receive, I believe, $180,000. And about 4 to 5 years ago, we've kind of fallen off of that process, and we've been handling, as a commission, we've been handling this in creative ways, the operation agreement. After digging through and spending some time with Controller Green, we found that there's been a gap for several years in that process of getting those receipts from the Railcats and being able to satisfy our operation commitments as a commission. So now we're getting back into that process, and that now these expenses will be able to be paid from the revenue that we receive from the Railcats, as opposed to us being creative as a commission and coming in from elsewhere.
So Resolution 7544 will come out of their money. Out of it comes from the rate still.
Right,
okay.
right, correct.
Mr. Harris, I have to correct you in one little thing about the money, the $150,000. Yes, the contract with the Railcats is that they owe the city $150,000 a year. That money does not come to the Redevelopment Commission. That money goes straight to the general fund of the city of Gary.
Correct, and that's what.
But we pay all the bills.
Correct, that's right, and I want to clarify. Never said it came to the commission itself. That's why we have a city fund for that.
All righty. Roll call. Yes, I'm sorry. Mr. Clemens, go ahead.
Gavin Plumbing and Heat, Gary Plumbing Organization?
No.
I just had a question. We have a plumber, and everybody knows AJ. AJ has been around forever, and he has a school teaching the community on trades. And I believe $8,500 will help a local plumber who's actually investing back in the community build up this program. Is he not qualified to de-winterize or winterize the railcat state? Winterization isn't really hard to do, but we're not gonna get into the trade.
Excuse me, can you turn your mic?
My mic isn't on. So, as I said before, Gatlin is not a Gary Plumbing organization. AJ the plumber is. Has he ever been solicited to offer any kind of services to the city of Gary or the Redevelopment Commission? And he has a trade school that is investing back into the community. Why isn't he offered the $8,500 to invest right back in the community and in the programs that will help our children or citizens learn trade?
I think that's an opportunity we can entertain in the future moving forward.
Did the RFP go out for
Yes.
plumbing services?
Yeah, so typically in the past, what's happened is that the Railcats will gather bids from contractors. Gatlin has been winterizing the U.S. Steel Yard for at least over 10 years. Yeah. But they do reach out, they do submit all the proposals for those who were solicited, and they share that with the commission or the department, and then we choose the most responsive bidder. It has consistently been Gatlin Plumbing, but I think moving forward we can refresh the deck moving forward. But these are services that were rendered.
Submitted an RFP?
He submitted a proposal. He's submitted a proposal to the Railcats.
Yeah, and then my point, Mr. Chair, is that when he submits that, that's an opportunity, because with bids, I mean, we always have the right to negotiate, and if there's something else, that consideration as far as being a Gary-owned business, not color, but residency, and plus the program that Mr. Clemens is talking about, I think that's a great opportunity to consider that.
I agree. Let us roll call.
Commissioner Clemens? No. Commissioner Dunham?
Just a question before I vote. Has this work already
This
been
work
done?
has been done.
Okay.
These are costs. Yes, it's done. It's work owed.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
No, still put it out. I agree with Mr. Clemens, but this is water already through the pipe, so I have to vote yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We now move on to resolution number 7545, Primus Star HVAC Services. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7545 is a resolution with the City of Gary Department of Redevelopment Commission authorizing a ratification of a professional service contract with Primistar for HVAC services at the Gary South Shore Railcats baseball stadium. The Department of Redevelopment and the City of Gary has determined that the following contractor, Primistar, was the best contractor to provide HVAC services for the Gary South Shore Railcats baseball stadium. The contractor has performed these services in November of 2024. The department now wishes to ratify the contract with the contractor so they can receive payment for the services rendered.
You've heard the presentation of Mr. Harris. What is the pleasure of the commission? It's been moving properly second. Are there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, has the work
Mr.
already
Washington.
been done?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments, Ms. Dunham? Did you have, okay, I saw your light on. Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens? Yes. Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stone.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We move on to resolution number 7546, land acceptance. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7546 is a resolution of the City of Gary, the Redevelopment Commission, transferring real property from the City of Gary to the Redevelopment Commission. The site that will be transferred from the City of Gary to the Redevelopment Commission is a 6200 Industrial Highway, with the intent of offering this for a development opportunity in an RFP.
You've heard the presentation of Mr. Harris. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll bring it to the floor, to find out what this piece of land is.
Your motion is?
Oh, yeah, can we just get that in the form of a motion to accept?
A motion to accept, well, we need to say it that way.
It's
A
been
motion
moved
to
and
bring to
properly.
the floor, resolution 7546.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? Mr. Rogie.
Tell me a little bit more about what this piece of land is.
Sure. So 6200 Industrial Highway, 76 acres of land in the Buffin, 78 acres of land in the Buffington Harbor area of our city. And we desire to begin an RFP process to leverage that opportunity.
Question.
Ms. Donovan.
So these transactions happen often where you transfer land to the commission from?
Correct. Yes. So usually there are properties that are in the City of Gary's name that, for example, site lots. This happens a lot on our site lots. That even though that it's owned by the City of Gary, if we're ready and prepared to leverage an opportunity, then we transfer that land from the Board of Works from the City of Gary to the Department of Redevelopment, so we can leverage that for whether it be a site lot or an RFP property disposal. So we have the ability and the authority as a Redevelopment Commission to leverage sites also owned by the City of Gary for development purposes. It's just a common transfer between entities, so we can leverage that in an RFP.
President Stellar, one more question. So you said Buffington Harbor. What proximity is it from the land that Indiana Sugars has already bought?
Good question. It's roughly about 3/4 of a mile. I'm sorry, half a mile from the Indiana Sugar site along Buffington Harbor Drive. So there's access to this property from Buffington Harbor Drive, and we're looking to leverage job opportunity and job growth for the city with the momentum that we have with Indiana Sugars expanding.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Mr. Clemens?
My mic, someone is on.
Okay.
What does the mayor think about it? What do you want to see there?
We want to leverage this site for job growth. We've always talked about what's the right location for different types of activity or land usage in the city to bring job growth and compete with our neighbors in Crown Point and Maryville that have greenfield sites. Understand 76 acres is a large site,
Yeah, that's awesome.
and it's one of the few opportunities that we have to really leverage job opportunities and large job growth. This was a general brownfield site. So be able to have this be redeveloped in a purpose and put the project out there for that purpose is big. But we also want to make sure that what we bring to the community is something that is not unclean or not dirty, right? But that's going to leverage the assets that exist in Buffington Harbor. We have Class A railroads in this section of the city. We have access to a deep water port. And then we have access to Klein Avenue. So with all of those infrastructure assets in mind, we want to be able to leverage the job growth that our neighboring communities in Crown Point are leveraging and landing in greenfield sites. Well, this is our best opportunity to really put our best foot forward and putting this site out there for job growth.
So how are you going to shop this RFP, like for developers to really see it? We
have our opportunity to be able to legally notice based on state statute. and we're confident that we can get attention on this site.
Mr. Rogan.
Start.
Were you done, Mr. Clemens? I'm done. Okay, Mr. Rogan.
So the we in this particular resolution, this is the Redevelopment Commission who is giving this 78 acres. Obviously, there must be something in the future there, because this is a prime piece of land, if I may say, out there. I mean, not look like it, but it is. And we're giving it to the city of Gary.
No, so that might be an error. Like
I might be an error.
No,
Well,
I'm
that'd
sorry,
be
there
great.
might have been a written error here. This is a resolution for us to take it back from the city of Gary. So
To leverage an RFP opportunity as the
that's
commission.
a separate resolution. So I want us to focus on one thing at a time. This is a resolution
to
accept
yeah.
the property back. If there's a typo, then I'll apologize for that. But this is a resolution to accept the property back from the city of Gary.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm sorry. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Mr. Harris, do we go to approval of 7547, or do we have an RFP for disposition?
RFI, I'm sorry, yes. RFI, I'm sorry, I keep saying RFI. The opportunity for the right of entry for 75.
No, there's another item on the agenda. It's approval. We're asking the board to make a motion for approval to allow the staff to complete an RFP for disposition of 6200 Industrial Highway. That's right following the acceptance.
Oh, so you all want to begin RFP?
It's not a resolution. We're just asking the board to make that motion.
So that you all can begin RFP for 6200?
Similar to the baseball stadium.
Okay. You've heard Mr. Harris and Attorney Jenkins. What is the pleasure of the commission?
If you could just phrase that in the form of make a motion.
The chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of the RFP for the disposition of 6200 Industrial Highway.
I make a motion.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions from commissioners?
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
So,
Washington.
Attorney Jenkins, you're asking for approval to complete an RFP. Then after you complete it, you're gonna bring it back to the commission to review the RFP?
No, we're simply asking for permission to do the RFP. You'll see the later item that comes before the board. Like once we get proposals, we're just asking for permission today to do the RFP.
Right.
And then once we get proposals, there'll be another meeting where those proposals are accepted.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about as far as are you gonna come back and, because we don't know what the RFP will say. The
RFP will be for a disposition of the 6200 Industrial Highway. It will be within legal compliance. It will be for an amount not lower than the appraised values. And that's all that we can say at the time.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Washington, just asking, can we see a copy of the RFP before it goes out? Is that your question?
No, if it goes out, I don't want to convolute the process. I just know they are coming to us to ask to create an RFP. We should be able to see the RFP so we'll know what it says. Say if we get the RFP and we think that a part of the RFP needs an amendment or a change, it might be something minimal based on what Attorney Jenkins said. I just want us to be able to see the RFP that we're approving for them to do.
Okay, Mr. Harris, is that possible?
That's something that we can discuss in a special executive session.
All right, good enough. I just wanted to give some attention to that, okay? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now we move on to the last item on the agenda before adjournment is 7547, the right of entry. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. So I want to explain the right of entry is an effort for us to complete our demolition effort for Senate Bill 434. So before you, there are sites that we desire Aegis, which is the demolition contractor responsible for executing the Senate Bill 434 demolition scope. The sites include that are in our possession: 1700 through 1704 Broadway, 700 East Fifth Avenue, 716 East Fifth Avenue, 810 Massachusetts Street, 813 Broadway, 200 East Fifth Avenue, 401 Adams Street, 813 through 59 Broadway, 810, 850 Massachusetts Street, 733-51 Washington Street, and 549 Washington Street. Yeah, I had two, so I might have skipped around. And and then 200 through 18 East Fifth Avenue. So seeking approval for right of entry for Aegis to be able to enter these properties to complete their due diligence process as we prepare to demolish these blighted structures in the downtown core.
You've heard the presentation of Director Harris. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I move to bring it to the floor. I'm sorry I didn't.
I got you.
I already wrapped up my stuff, so I don't know what the resolution number is.
7547.
Okay, resolution
7547.
7547.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Question.
Ms. Dunham?
So you said this is already covered in Senate Bill 3034?
Senate Bill 434.
434.
Yeah, from 2023. And this is just right of entry to be able to do due diligence to prepare for demolition for these sites.
Environmental tests and
Correct.
things of that nature.
Correct.
Okay. There aren't any other questions or comments from Commissioner. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Clements?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And President Stalling?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. First of all, before we move to the next part of the agenda, I want to thank all commissioners for coming in today and for all your questions, and also to the staff of the redevelopment. I think that you all have heard what some of our concerns were, and all I ask that after every time we come to another meeting, some of those concerns have been addressed. So we all are available. You give us a call. I'm available. You all have my number so that we can keep things moving forward. I know it was a long meeting, but it's a meeting that we needed to have to move some things forward. And lastly, I would like to welcome again Ms. Corey Shop to the staff so we can just help things move a little bit more smoothly. With that being said, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved in second. You can call it if you want to, a roll call. Thank you. And thank all those that came out today also.
Love Your Block is here in the city of Gary, Indiana.
The City of Gary's Love Your Block program is funded by grants to help improve neighborhoods.
Love Your Block is so important to Mayor Eddie D. Melton and city leadership. Why? Because it empowers residents to play an active role in shaping the future of their neighborhood.
Join us in our community conversations where you are invited to share your ideas on what you want to see in your neighborhood.
In year one, our 3 key neighborhoods are Midtown, Black Oak, and Glen Park, the University Park area.
Our aim is simple: to improve the quality of life for all of our residents for years to come. Not only that, but to create a sense of pride and attachment to where you live.
Be on the lookout for more information on how to get involved.
By establishing partnerships with local organizations, residents, businesses, churches, non-for-profits, we'll truly create a neighborhood where even you will love your block.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Mayor Eddie Melton of the great city of Gary, Indiana, and I'm sending a special invitation out to each and every one of you to join me on March 6th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at St. Timothy's Church in Gary, Indiana, at 1600 West 25th Avenue. This is going to be a night where we're going to inform the public on our proposal between the city of Gary and the Hard Rock Casino for the Lake County Convention Center that's going to happen right here in this city. As state senator, I fought very hard to get Senate Bill 434 passed. And this Senate bill that passed almost 2 years ago will give us the opportunity to have this great economic engine right here in the city of Gary. This will yield multiple jobs, increase our tax base and opportunities to bring economic vitality in the city of Gary. Join us on March 6th. From 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at St. Timothy's Church right here in the city of Gary. And I want to thank Pastor Jackson and the entire congregation of St. Timothy's Church for allowing us to be with you on that night. God bless.
Recycling at home is easy and helps keep our city clean and sustainable. But what can you actually recycle? Let's break it down. Paper and fiber. Yes, you can recycle. Newspapers, office paper, magazines, books, file folders, junk mail, glossy paper, and envelopes. Just toss them in. But remember, no shredded paper as it can't be sorted properly. Flatten those cardboard boxes and cereal boxes before recycling. But no greasy pizza boxes, those go in the trash. Aluminum cans, tin cans, and even pie tins can be recycled, but make sure they're clean. Give them a quick rinse to remove